TV.
Hello and welcome once again to Business Conversation, Agribusiness Talk with me, Odipo G, Kanyarati and Nick Abayo. We had started a conversation about Tesco and Kakuzi and how Tesco decided that they will no longer do business with Kakuzi. There were some allegations of human rights violations. So what happened is Tesco, being a very big customer and a buyer or an off-take of Kakuzi, decided to cancel all their contracts. We looked at it from the point of ethics, the ethical point of view, and we broke it down, and Nick did a good job in relation to that. And then we realized that there's another angle, the angle of the farmer. Has the smallholder farmer been affected, yes or no? And if they have been affected, how? Which is the obvious negative effects that it has had on the smallholder farmer?
From that perspective, I think we need to look at it a bit historically and understand why this issue is so important, vital for our understanding. No single establishment that does export has the ability to procure its own, grow its own product and export.
You know, you're right. I was surprised the other day. I went to visit a friend of mine who has a pig farm. And next to her farm is actually a farm by AAA. Huge farm. And even with such huge, vast lands and production, they still cannot meet their demand. They need outgrowers. Yes. So you're very right, it's true.
I think we need to accept that fact that we are a smallholder country in terms of production of agricultural produce. It's smallholders up to almost 80%. So what is being produced by the big holders is, I think, what you'd call mainly for export. The ones that are local are usually from the small producers. Now, Kakuzi themselves are a very big exporter. And when you look at Tesco is big. Yes. Tesco is really big. Maybe Abayo, you can confirm how big they are. Maybe
they're the largest supermarket in the UK.
Yes, Tesco. But now Kakuzi, in terms of export of fresh produce, are they one of the biggest?
Kakuzi is the largest exporter.
So we're actually dealing with an established organization that, and it didn't start today. They've been doing it for a long. They're an old established company.
Yeah. Now you see, we have Kakuzi. Kakuzi has, I think, branches in Kenya and other countries too.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
And you know what? This is their biggest hub for export of raw produce, fresh produce to the UK. Now, when that's done, you know, we have to consider that they have to partner with other people.
True.
Who are the smallholder
farmers?
Okay.
The farmers in Muranga, Kirinyaga, Meru, I hear even some are collecting produce all the way in Makueni, all the way coming all the way, and this is a big. That's where a majority of their produce actually comes from. So now, what are we saying? We are saying that they have been able to sustain Kakuzi's ability to export product. Now, what are we saying today? That now, all of a sudden, based on some allegation, that they are not going to be able to procure or collect those goods or the fruits and export them. This is now, what does that mean? Stop. Hey, you don't have anywhere to take your fruits anymore. Even if I had a contract with you, I'll show you the other contract and say, my contract has been cancelled. So you take your goods back.
Yeah, so you can imagine the farmer who has taken a loan against probably the land or the tractor or the whatnot to plant, and then they have planted, it's ready, and now?
Can I tell you, if there's a sector which is looks at future, agriculture.
Yes.
Because you're saying, I'm growing my crop now, that time is coming, I'll pay you. Even in between, they don't disturb you. They know when that season comes, we'll come and ask you for your money. Yes. So most of them now are holding produce which they can't take anywhere. The market already, most of other people had satisfied their demand. The little that there is hanging around is not going to be used locally. It's usually for export. So we're asking ourselves, all those farmers who are actually producing and exporting their produce through Kakuzi have nowhere to take their produce. Now, let's start. That farmer, like Odipo said, had probably borrowed some money. He's not going to be able, he's not sure now
How he's going to pay
How he's
back.
going to start paying back the two. He has produce which had been harvested and maybe even delivered. Cost of transport, cost of is that Kakuzi now is being told, come and collect your produce and take it back. We have nowhere to take it. We have a farmer who's saying, I have already paid guys to harvest.
The product is
The product is there. That's another person. That's another person who now, tomorrow will know cannot come and collect your produce by harvesting. There's another person who's saying, the shop where we used to collect either agrochemicals or produce or fertilizer, even goes even further. The shop, the kiosk guy near your place or the shop, you normally go and buy things on credit. This thing is a ripple effect. It goes down, and even goes down to a point where now those guys who are actually tax compliant, the government is asking, give us our tax. What tax?
You know, you're very...
No, let's put it this way. Schools are back.
There you go.
School fees. It's a whole combination of things.
It is. Let me give you, in fact, a very good example. When 7 months ago COVID occurred, and then there was a lockdown, and then there was a county lockdown, so we couldn't gallivant across counties. So it means we couldn't get things from our farm, and vice versa. We couldn't visit. We couldn't go. So the fact that we could not get things from the farm, it means that we could not hire people to do much at the farm.
Yes.
So the employment rate in the area where we're farming, which is Ngoliba, which is in the Machakos County region of Kenya, the employment rate went down because very many people like me who farm there were not able to hire anyone. Now what happened? The need to survive is constant. Whether there is war, whether there is COVID, whether there is what is constant. Man must eat. You know. So what happened was the crime rate went up.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Now pumps started being stolen. From down the river, 2 hours, our pump went. You know. So it's something. Those are some of the ripple effects that you can imagine. So that there is, when you look at ripple effects, there is the general ripple effect, and then now there's the social
effect. And it goes down to a point where, like Nick was saying, I can't pay my fees. Yes. And you know what? Farmers, unlike many people who have a 30-day system, farmers live by the day. Yes. Today, I have delivered, pay me my money, I go. Yes. Then he goes tomorrow, he knows he can do something else, or can produce something else, or can procure something else. I can pay now for something. They live every day. So as soon as things are stopped from being exported, it's a standstill. Yes. So the negative effect is not just on Kakuzi. There are those farmers. Can you imagine all those transporters now? Their cars are packed.
The loaders.
The loaders are packed. The harvesters, the farmers, the chemicals, the shop. The ripple effect is real. And what still is the kind of waste that takes place when that takes. You know, even better we say in 30 days we will stop receiving or exporting. It's today you can't export tomorrow. So you're asking yourself, what do we do?
No,
it's really crazy.
You know, have you just sat down and looked at it this way?
Yes.
By the time this contract is being cancelled, probably Kakuzi had a number of containers in the high seas.
Of course.
Where will they take them?
It's very bad. Look at
we really hope these guys are able to
resolve,
quote unquote, resolve and forgive each other.
I know.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, do you know, unfortunately, the way I look at it, first we agreed that the jurisdiction of this process should have been in locally.
In Kenya.
Of course, it's in the UK.
To be specific.
First, the whole process becomes expensive for Kakuzi, becomes expensive for everyone, because it's based, in my opinion, around money. Whether it's true or not, they didn't come here and certify the local establishment, bring the complaints locally, use a local company. It has been done. There's now the others, like the one in Northeast, the one not in Northeastern, but in Northern Kenya, where this is Pokots and some tribesmen in the north, because that's where the British Army used to train. Many ordinances that had not been explored, guys were maimed, hurt, injured, children born out of those situations happened to be. So there was a class case and they won it. Guys were getting 15, 20 million and in 6 months had nothing. But anyway, that's not the point. My point is this, is that this thing always has an undertone in it. So I don't blame Kakuzi. Likewise, on the other hand, I feel it should have been handled differently because these guys have not looked at it from the big picture. They have only zeroed in and said human rights. Fine, in as much as that is done. Now, the small farmer, his rights, who is taking care of them?
Who's taking care of his contract?
Exactly. Who is taking care in the bigger picture? No, sometimes you have to ask yourself, what is the big picture here? But I guess when it comes to money, there's no big picture. It's
money is the picture.
Money is the picture. There's no other picture. Yeah. So, in my opinion, that's the situation. Now, farmers will go through. I pray that this thing is resolved so quickly that it's done. I pray that they can also do an out-of-court settlement if they must, because that will reduce the need stretching this thing over a long period of time.
Because I think...
because let me tell you, over and above that, do you know, if the local market where maybe an avocado was going for what? 20 shillings, now will drop to 5 shillings. Even they themselves the market is flooded now with local produce. So it gets crazy.
Now you see, thing is, for the resolving of the Tesco Kakuzi thing, we pray that by the time this goes on air, it has been resolved.
True.
But they have a time then between now and January, when the avocado season, export season is back. That is when they are able to.
That's in March.
That's in March.
March next year.
Yeah. So they are between now and probably end of February, because you remember that fruit has to be harvested and packed. So let's hope that they resolve between now and then, because the amount of income that is lost
is massive.
For me, what hurts me the most in all these issues is nobody has come out and said, actually, it's me who was raped.
But they are being hidden. They said they're not in the open. Even you saw the cutting in the newspaper. It says they don't know who they're dealing with.
That's the problem.
They don't know.
So I think the person who's received the complaint plus the person who the complaint has been filed against need to sit down and say, okay, Nick came to us and said this happened on such a day. It was caused by X. See, that way Nick has a way of getting justice. Because remember, despite the fact that we are talking about the economic backlash and the effect to the smallholder farmer, there's a person here whose rights have been violated.
Of course.
So
we're not cognizant of that fact.
Yes. Yeah. So let's look at a way that all this is resolved in the shortest time possible, so that the farmer next year, when his fruits are ready, he has a place to take.
I agree.
You see, he has kids to feed.
Families to take care of.
Assuming, and for lack of a better term, and God forbid, he has a terminal illness, medication is not cheap.
I know. Health care.
The money was connected.
Health care.
Yes, everything is connected to this single tree.
And this single decision somewhere else.
Yes. We said in subsequent series that one tree employs an average of 8 people.
Imagine.
So by the loss of this contract, 8 people have lost a job, times 100 farmers or 1,000 farmers. That's 8,000 people.
Though when you think about it, I like to look at it from the flip side. Now, it's not all doom and gloom. There's something I learned from when I did my class at Gold Finance Academy. There's something that stuck with me to date. Is that whenever there's a crisis, there's always an opportunity.
Yeah, COVID has made people millionaires.
Exactly. So,
look at it.
Kanyarati,
yes.
On the flip side now, do we have any positive things that have been birthed from this Tesco Kakuzi situation?
Now, I think one of the biggest for me is the learning that you cannot take for granted that you are on your own, you are not isolated in your production process. Meaning that they must get to learn and understand that whatever we do regarding a product which is being exported, well, let's just say about this one in particular, that they need to understand that everyone involved in that value chain must be following ethical practices. It is as painful as it is and as ad hoc as it has come to them, they probably never even thought, nani sasa nasumbuliwa huko kwa shamba? Tunasumbuliwa kwa nini? We produced, why you disturb? Why is it affecting? But can you imagine that now they have to understand that they have probably been taught that, you know what, as you're harvesting, you can't use miners. As you are taking care of your produce, you can't use miners. As you are delivering them to Nairobi, make sure you use health protocols that are required for the produce. There's also the fact that how they've been handled. You know, all these things now are becoming important because you realize it's ethics all through. Farm to fork, we must understand. So the small farmer now is getting knowledge and understanding that if I don't produce my produce ethically, I can lose out.
It's called shock therapy.
And it is.
It really works.
And look at it now. They're all probably thinking, do you know, sometimes, as innocent as it is, can you imagine? In our African culture, in our homes, everyone in the home is part of the farmers' workers.
Yeah, you are all laborers.
My children, my family, we are all in it. So even when your children are plucking those vegetables or the avocados or the fruit, they're not doing it as a way of punishing them. We are all working together towards the same cause. So we go and produce. So now can you imagine someone coming and saying, you're using children? But it's not using food. Our culture is different. We all go to the shamba together as a family. We all dig as a family. And that's how it works.
In an African setting, actually, farming is less of an economic activity than it is a social activity.
It is.
You see, because farming has become more of a family thing. Okay? So you can't stop me from going with my children to the farm because it's less economical than it is social. Because that's the way I keep my children off bad behavior.
You have to keep them busy with activities which they do, and that's so in farming it's even more important because now, can you imagine the village, your children can't be sitting waiting for you to bring produce.
No, they'll join
together and do it. You join together.
Yeah.
And I'll give you an example. When I was growing, I think when the early sessions once I said, my father used to put cats in his car. We go to Shags, pick coffee, prune, spray chemicals, collect, pick, carry on our bags, take them to the coffee center. So it was never even debated.
We didn't even this day and age.
And it's not any different. So,
sorry, just finish. So I have.
So what I'm trying to say is, the farmer has learned that they cannot take things for granted anymore and have to be cautious that they do what is right regarding the whole process of production.
I'm also seeing a situation or scenario where farmers have been opened up to the possibility of alternative crops.
And I was going there.
Okay. We are there now.
Okay. I was going there. One of the things is to understand that you cannot be reliant on one cash crop. Yes. It kills you. Ask coffee farmers, ask tea farmers.
Yeah.
It's putting all your eggs in one basket. And in this season,
and then you'll tell us.
And in this season, where we've realized that eating is valuable and it has good returns when handled well. Look at the number of small-scale producers. City farmers now. We have city farmers who are producing produce. Service. It's become essential. So in essence, even they need to realize what niche market can we also look at as a way of thinking when this doesn't work, we can still kind of move on. We could produce other products. Avocado is a good product because unfortunately it's a tree. You don't really need to tend it as much and take care of it, but it works. Now what other produce can you look at? There are guys who have tea, there are guys who have coffee. You can produce fruits, you can do bananas. Fruits, let me tell you today, if you have if you can manage to come with a seedless or lemon today, grown locally, which is none, you're already going to make money. And know what? It comes yellow. No, the other one comes green. Yeah. It's ripened, which is in my mind is not any different. But no, there's perception of our produce. Yeah. So making them know that they need to do that. It's so vital for them. So they must look for alternatives on what to grow. They cannot be growing and relying on one produce. And then when it's off season, what happens? No, you have to ask yourself all those. You can't say nimetengeneza pesa sasa nikukula. Next season it starts. Okay, now I'm doing work again.
See, which unfortunately is what most
many of them do that. Yes.
Nick, why are you objecting to that?
My thing is,
do you believe that we should put all our eggs in one basket?
Not really.
What's the argument in that?
I agree we should not put all our eggs in one basket. I mean, it's an age-old adage and it has proved to actually make sense. But when you're negotiating for your contract, remove the aspect of exclusivity. Such that
it's just the same way but thinking differently.
Yes, such that instead of me supplying to Kanyarati alone, Odipo can also come and benefit. Such that what happens when Kanyarati today decides is not picking produce?
I have something to counter you. Kakuzi is the biggest collector and exporter of what? Avocados.
But
we've agreed.
That one
now, so even if you didn't had an open, a fixed contract with them, who are you taking to?
Now,
the market is saturated with produce which they are not able to export.
I'll put it this way, Jackson.
Yes.
We have Kakuzi, we have Kate, we have Kenya Fresh, we have Kandia, we have Mofam, we have another one called Keo, we have the fresh produce, we have which one? Mavuno.
HCDA, do they export?
No, HCDA is a regulatory body.
So why haven't they created? You see, now those are some of the things now we need to
have
go into. I was going.
So thing is,
until someone takes over that market,
you don't need to take over.
How do you take over?
Listen.
Wait, let's hear Nick's argument.
These guys now are positioning themselves to come lure that farmer who's sobbing from Kakuzi's loss. This guy has 100 shoulders to lean on. Yeah, it's upon him to now choose. So we're looking at the positive aspect of this. So now, when these guys come, assuming you're selling to Kakuzi at 10 shillings a fruit, okay, he can come and tell these guys, man, me Kakuzi, we're buying it at 15 shillings. Can you match it? I'm like, no, I can probably come to 13 shillings. Who's benefited?
At the end of the day, everyone does.
Thank you. So at the end of the day, this guy can actually go. We say it's a business, okay? You cry for 10 minutes and now wake up and go to Kandia, sit down with them and tell them, I have produce. Can you guys come pick it? They will not say no, because they're also competing for the same market with Kakuzi, which they're now excited because they're out.
It's more open market
One
now.
player is now down. So
The big player, the big boy,
the big boy is
Ronaldo
down.
of the game is not playing anymore.
So let's scramble for all. So at the end of the
Makes
day,
sense.
it's not all gloom
That I agree.
for this farmer. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I differ with you to some point.
I agree. So,
Yeah.
in essence, what we're usually saying is this: you know what? Everything has its time.
Yeah.
And the time now is to understand that if you produce, you need to create your own market also. I think farmer, unfortunately, since this product is not any different in terms of quality, these same farmers can come together and create and understand finally, you know what? We need to be our own exporter.
So the power over like a cooperative.
They need to come together and agree that, you know what? And they have the power and ability to do that. It may take a while, it may not take a day, but this is now for them to understand the opportunity is with them and onus is with them as farmers to come together and say, you know what, we must finally do this ourselves. Why not approach that same Tesco? And they'll be told these are the terms and conditions. We need our own, the same conditions. I don't think they're going to be any different.
They're not.
We understand. But the thing is, can you imagine farmers in Moranga? They're the biggest suppliers of avocado in the country.
They produce 70% of the
They are the biggest producers of avocado in the country. Why haven't they come together, created their own product in terms of branding, systems and export?
You want a honest answer or you want me to
No.
massage
That's
you?
not what I'm saying. My point is this: there will always be the usual, what you call underworld, not letting you thrive. And
It's not about letting you thrive. Where do you expect these other exporters to get their produce once these people start forming?
And I agree.
That is the pure mentality.
And listen, do you know what? And that's why we are saying now that it has happened.
So they
then
start.
what? It's a big question which they need to ask themselves.
They
Can
can
we
form-
come together, form that? Because we've always had the cooperative movement. Do you know Kenya is the biggest cooperative movement in the world?
True.
In the world.
Thing is, I'll be honest with you.
Guys have come to bench until now things have gone. For the longest time, benchmarking on cooperative movement was in Kenya.
I'll be honest and I'll be very polite in my honesty. Okay, we have 100 exporters. So who rely on the Muranga supposed cooperative that you want to have. And then the Muranga cooperative decides not to give their produce to these 100 guys and sell it.
Exactly.
How many jobs will be lost?
No, I don't think, listen, who are we looking out for here at first to start with?
We're looking for the interest of everyone.
No, let's start. Even that guy who's setting up the business, who is he looking out for?
He's looking out for the farmer.
No, for himself.
Of
So I
course.
want those farmers to do that themselves. Not to look out. Let me tell you, the value chain will still take place. And that's what we are trying
it will
to say.
take place, but let them form a cooperative and sell to these exporters.
So
that's
you,
what I
you,
can
so you
agree.
in short, you are saying,
Yeah.
I think this is what Nikabaki is saying. Farmers wakibaki pale pale, nyinyi msikuje pande, msivuke. That's what you are saying, Nikabaki.
Hapana,
You're telling me don't come this side.
No, I'm saying.
So if I set up a cooperative movement in Murang'a, for example, and I say, well, let's come together and we create our own system. We buy equipment through you because we can actually afford it.
Yeah, you can.
We create everything. And we can find the market. We can't find the market.
The market is there.
So
waiting
my
for
point
you.
is this: why is being stopped by Nikabayo
I'm
from
not
going to the
stopping.
market?
I'm just telling you, as you're forming one cooperative, consider 100 other companies that are there. So form a cooperative, yes, but trade with this. There's a bridge.
What I'm looking, I think one of the things we said is if we can reduce the middle process, the middlemen in
Yeah,
the middle.
the middlemen.
I know they make money and they're part of the
They're
system.
not called middlemen.
They're
called
middlemen.
consolidators.
No. Middlemen.
Yes, aggregators.
Those are
From
middle.
this-
It's a good term.
Yes.
You can, of
It's a
aggregate-
fancy term of a broker. Ni broker amevaa tai.
Nita broker. Na nakubali. Na ako na haki.
Yes.
Na apewe.
Yes.
Lakini let me tell you, there's a lot of waste. You need to go to these places. You
We
see
have
the
been
sheer
there.
amount of waste that takes place because they don't have control of themselves.
That's why Odipo keeps telling you there's what is called agro-processing. Whatever
what else
you
have-
think is waste, the smallholder farmer can pick and take to an oil production company.
Thank you very much.
They can do it, which is very interesting.
Amazing.
What do you think between the negatives and the positives when it comes to the effects that the Tesco Kakuzi fiasco has had on the smallholder farmer? You can post your comments below and we can be able to just pick your side. Is it the Nick side or is it the Kanyarati side in relation to what exactly do you think are the effects of the smallholder farmer? We are yet to finish this particular effect on the smallholder farmer because we want to see what is the future of such an incident if it ever appears again. Is there anything that has been added to the value addition chain, to the value addition wing in relation to agribusiness based on what Tesco and Kakuzi have actually been battling about? This is Business Conversation on Clean Money TV with Odipo G, Nick and Kanyarati.